are pulled for system status and readiness to proceed. This is the final status check for all Delta vehicle systems, ground systems, spacecraft, and the U.S. Space Force Eastern Range. The vehicle system readiness pull includes electrical systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight control, and propellants. Let's listen in as Scott Barney performs the final pulling.
Minus 7 minutes.
Status check to proceed with terminal count. First stage systems, propulsion.
Go.
Hydraulics.
Go.
Locks.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
Second stage systems, locks.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
Electrical systems, airborne.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
RFFTS.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
COM. Go. GCQ.
Go.
Operation support.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
Umbilicals.
Go.
HASGAS.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Red line monitor.
Go.
Mechanical engineering advisor.
Go.
Quality.
Go.
Ops safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer.
Go.
Anomaly chief.
Go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
Launch vehicle is ready to launch.
Mission director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count.
Minus 6.
ALC verified T0 is set or at 16:53 Zulu.
Verified.
Polling is
MEQ, establish
complete and the
swing arm
team
lock
is
pins
go
full.
for launch. From T-minus 4 minutes until liftoff, you'll hear Scott Barney and the team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. Several critical activities occur in the final minutes before launch, including verifying fuel tank levels and pressures in the 3 boosters and DCSS, in addition to arming the flight termination system. At T-minus 1 minute, the Range Operations Commander confirms the range is in a green condition for launch. At T-minus 15 seconds, the launch table HBOs at the base of the rocket are ignited to burn off excess hydrogen. At T-minus 7 seconds, the starboard engine is ignited. At T-minus 5 seconds, the port and center engines are ignited. Once the Delta IV Heavy lifts off, you'll hear flight commentator Rob Gannon providing launch vehicle ascent data.
TD, verify SV configured for launch.
TD on net 1, SV configured for launch.
Roger.
TD out.
Swing arm lock pins pulled.
Roger. All steps are complete prior to terminal count.
This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. We anticipate releasing the hold in just a few moments.
T-minus 4 minutes and counting. Minus 3:55.
Ground pyros enabled.
3:50.
The countdown clock is resumed and we are go for launch at 12:53 p.m. Eastern. With liftoff approaching, we're raising the volume on our launch team so you can hear the final preps taking place.
Minus 3:32. $3.25.
Second stage lock, secure at flight level.
Minus 307. Minus 249.
FTS internal.
CBC locks at flight pressure and flight level.
T minus 2 minutes. The rocket, payload, ground systems, and
Hydraulic pressure
eastern range are
1,000.
go for launch.
Vehicle internal.
Launch sequencer start.
If you just joined us, I'm Andrea Lenhoff.
CBC
I'm your
LH2 at
host for
flight
the
pressure
final
and flight
Delta
level.
launch today. Liftoff is currently scheduled for 12:53 p.m. Eastern.
140.
FCS launch enabled.
FTS armed.
Minus 120.
OCU's armed. FCS count started.
T minus 1 minute.
Go for main
T
engine
minus
start.
1 minute.
Rock, report range status.
Range green.
Minus 50.
Second stage LH2 secure at flight level.
Minus 30.
Status check.
Go Delta.
Go NROL-70.
Minus 15.
Rofi ignition.
10.
T minus
Mr. Start.
10,
8,
9,
7,
8, 7,
5,
6,
4,
5. We have ignition. 2, 1.
Lift off.
And liftoff of the final United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket, carrying NROL-70 for the National Reconnaissance Office and closing Delta's 6-decade legacy of excellence in space.
Or is that min power level? Port and starboard strap-on still operating at enhanced power level.
You are hearing the voice of Rob Gannon providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Parameters look good. Flight control services look good. And we have fired the isolation pyro valve on second stage reactor control system. And first step in readying that system for operation. Continue to look good. And we've passed through Mach 1 and Mach 2. Normal strips there, everything looks good. All three boosters operating as expected. All three boosters operating as expected. Everything looks good. And we fired the pyro valve, pressurizing the reaction control system on the second stage. Pressure's coming up. Everything looks good there. we're looking for is going to closed loop guidance. Kept it 3 or 4 seconds, and we've started closed loop guidance. Vehicle maneuvering as expected. All 3 engines continue to look good. And we are 3 minutes to Corbeco. And the vehicle is now 1/2 its liftoff weight. All 3 engines operating normally, everything looking good. And the vehicle's now 29 nautical miles in altitude, 64 miles downrange, traveling at 5,300 miles per hour. Everything continues to look good. And we've just passed through the Kármán line, reaching 100 kilometers in altitude. Everything looking good. 2 minutes to Corbeco. Coming up on throttle down on the strap-ons. And we've begun throttling down the strap-on boosters in preparation for cutoff. We've now achieved min-power level on the strap-ons. And cutoff. We have cutoff port and starboard boosters coming up on strap-on, and we have strap-on separation. Disturbances look good. Throttled up the core booster. We're now at EPL on the single stage booster. And we've re-enabled steering following separation of the strap-ons. Everything looking good.
We just heard confirmation of port and starboard booster jettison. We have about 1.5 minutes until we reach our next
And we've
mission
started
event,
LOX
booster
boost
engine
phase chill
cutoff.
down on the RL-10. One minute to Corbeco. Housing temps respond as expected on the RL-10, and we've started LH2 boost phase chill down. Housing temps responding as expected. Flight control disturbances are small, and the core RS-68 continues to operate as expected. About 20 seconds to our next mark event, throttling down the core booster in preparation for BECO. And core booster is throttling down, coming up on booster engine cutoff. And we have BECO. Cutoff on the booster, everything looking good. And state operation occurred right as expected. NEDs have deployed. And we have pre-start, start, and full thrust. RL-10 is up and running normally. Everything looking good. Enabled steering of the second stage operating normally. Coming up on bearing separation. About 10 seconds away from pairing sep. 5 seconds to pairing sep, and we have pairing separation. Disturbances look good. Upper stage is operating normally. And once again, steering has been re-enabled after the separation event.
This is Delta Mission Control at T
Operating
plus
parameters
6
right as
minutes and
expected.
55 seconds.
Chamber pressure
We
right.
just heard flight commentator Rob Gannon confirm the successful completion of the early phase of today's flight, and all systems continue to operate nominally. While the mission has just begun, we did just see liftoff of the last Delta rocket. Here's ULA President and CEO Tory Bruno.
Well, good afternoon. A lot of you know that the Delta IV Heavy is, of course, the most metal of all rockets, setting itself on fire before it blasts into space. But I also want to talk about its tremendous contribution to our nation, to exploration, to national security. The Delta IV Heavy still today flies missions that no other rocket can fly. Soon Vulcan will pick up that mantle, and we're going to retire this venerable rocket that has made so much important work for our country. And I want to thank everyone who has been involved with the Delta IV Heavy. We have many employees who are here for the very first Delta IV launch, who are still here now for the last Delta IV launch to send off this great vehicle into its well-earned retirement. Thank you all.
Hi, everyone. I'm now joined by ULA's Launch System Director, Bill Cullen. Bill, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Andrea.
We just saw a really magnificent launch for the last time. This has a little bit of a special meaning to you, is my understanding, because you started your career working on the Delta program.
I did.
So tell us a little bit about what this experience means to you.
Well, so it is bittersweet,
Yeah.
but it's very exciting, and it's a great evolution. And everything that Delta has done, Delta 2, Delta 4, Atlas 5 is being done better on Vulcan. And so this is a great evolutionary step. And it is bittersweet to see the last one, but there's great things ahead. So.
It is. It's exciting, too. I know you and I have worked on Vulcan for a long time. So it's exciting to see it, but bittersweet, obviously, to be the last one. This Delta Heavy configuration is obviously a fan favorite. I know you've seen the most heavy metal of rockets. So definitely a unique and cool configuration. What is it about the Delta Heavy that makes it so special?
Well, so two things. It all boils down to the mission capability, so which is lift capability in many ways, and then on orbit. But the lift capability, the no solid motors, pure liquid, the 3 strap-ons, the slow, majestic liftoff,
It
is
really is
just
majestic.
inspiring.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like it. You know, it makes your heart go.
I really felt it. Like, I feel like more than any other rocket launch, you really feel it
Yeah.
in your bones and in the vehicle. So it's just such a cool thing to see, and kind of
It
sad
is.
for it to be the last one. So speaking of last, let's talk a little bit about first. So earlier in January, we experienced our first Vulcan rocket. Went off pretty flawlessly, in my personal opinion, which
Absolutely.
is kind of a big deal for the first one. We also have an exciting time coming up with the first crew flight test coming up here very shortly, actually. So with all those firsts, you know, we are looking at one of our lasts with the Delta configuration in the Delta Heavy. So what would you say was this program's greatest accomplishment?
The greatest is hard to pick.
Just pick
you know,
one
So
or a handful.
so if you look at all the national security things, intelligence, the GPS constellation, everybody uses GPS, right? And you know, the mapping capabilities. I mean, you want to know where you're driving. You want to see what your house looks like in satellite view. Everybody can do that in part because of the satellites.
And
we've
every
launched.
day, we use it every day, right?
Every
Yeah.
day it's touched all
Yeah.
of us. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's such a cool thing. I mean, working at ULA, you know, just to be a part of that small experience that we have here, but know the huge impact that it has. I mean, just an exciting time.
Yeah, we're enablers.
We are enablers, and we work on rockets, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, that's all the questions that I have for you today, but I do appreciate you joining us, and just really thank you for being here for this exciting last, and looking forward to a year of firsts for us and many, many more coming here in the future.
Absolutely, to mission success.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Well, we're just about to log up here for today, but before we do, I do want to thank Ben Chilton and Rob Gannon for their support of today's broadcast. You can follow more about ULA and learn more about our rockets at ulalaunch.com. However, before we log off, let's look at one more majestic look of that last Delta launch, lifting off the pad for the very last time. Thanks for joining us.
10,
T minus
pressure start.
10,
8,
9,
7,
8, 7, 6, 5. We have ignition. 2, 1. And liftoff. liftoff of the final United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket, carrying NROL-70 for the National Reconnaissance Office and closing Delta's 6-decade legacy of excellence in space.